Hello everyone, I am Mushtaq Hussain. Today we are going to discuss about well-being in the classroom. Now, in this short presentation, what I am going to do is actually I have referred to one of the articles which was available online. So I found it relevant, so I thought to just share with you. Wherever required, I'll try to quote some examples that we practice up at our school. So first of all, why do we need to focus on well-being or mental health? So why should we really serious about that? So basically, it helps our students to flourish in their education journey. They can do well. Then they can build resilience against adversity, challenges, problems, negativity, negative energy. So practicing well-being will help them to build resilience, then develop protective factors from mental ill health. So we can take some precautions over there, and finally provide them with skills and confidence to self-seek help for early intervention. So before it gets more critical, so it will help them to be ready with those skills and confidence to self-seek help. Now, the next one is key features for promoting well-being. So basically, there are a number of factors which we need to consider for well-being. That includes whole school or university or college. Apart from that, we need to consider administrators, then staff, teaching faculty, teaching staff, then students, then parents. So as far as stakeholders are concerned, there are many stakeholders. But what I am going to cover over here is students and teaching. So if you look at these key features, so these features help us to promote well-being, providing social and emotional skills programs. That is what we can do as a whole of school. So wherever required, so maybe we can have a course. Okay, that could be a credit course or not credit course, but we can definitely provide social and emotional skills programs. Now, if I have to take example of my own school, that is B school, so we have got one course called soft skills, and it is like mandatory for undergraduates as well as graduate students, management students. So, I mean, from our end, we try to just provide social and emotional skills through soft skills course, then providing timely support for those with additional needs. Now, as far as this point is concerned, so we have got one counselor, and she is highly qualified in psychology, and she does her job very well. But again, students do not come forward and do not approach her. But yes, as far as that facility is concerned, it is very much there. Then involving students and families in decision making. Now again, this is very critical. Now, I don't know about other cultures, but if you look at our culture, then what happens is most of the decisions, especially in early stage, okay, when students are teenagers or when students are young adults, so generally decisions are made by their family members, their parents, their siblings, and not the students. But yes, there are some families, okay, but if you look at most of the families, if you look at most of the students, their decisions are made by their family members. So definitely, if we could promote well-being, then we can involve students and families in decision-making process for their career too. Then resilience building for students. Now again, resilience is a skill, okay, where students can cope up with challenges, hardships, negativity. Okay, so we need to be very careful when we develop like resilience. So what are the different ways and means to develop resilience? So first one is positive social connections. So again, as far as students are concerned, so they interact with faculty members, they interact with number of stakeholders, okay, educators, then administrators, okay, then staff, then help. Okay, there are number of stakeholders which are involved. So again, we need to promote or we need to build positive social connections. So whomever they interact with in personal life as well as professional life. Okay, so we need to make sure that, okay, they can build positive social interactions or connections. Then safe environments. So safe environment, again we need to make sure that the place where they learn, that is our classrooms, our campus, our university, college, whatever you call it. So we need to make sure that that environment is completely safe. It has got a lot of positive energy, right? And people interact harmoniously. Then life skills, again, as far as life skills are concerned, so in some terms it is called global skills, in sometimes it is called soft skills, sometimes it is called social skills. Okay, so for example, there are certain life skills that can be built. So which are those life skills? Like positive coping. Okay, so if they come across any negativity, any challenge, any problem, okay, in such cases, I mean, they should be able to cope up with positivity, and of course, problem-solving skills. Okay, so in personal life as well as professional life, they will come across number of problems, number of conflicts. So they need to resolve it. They need to solve it. So again, we need to think of those life skills. Then pro-social skills. So these are the key features of promoting well-being, and this is how we can build resilience among the students. Then again, there are few positive self-regard and a sense of purpose and agency or responsibility. Again, it is not limited to only their family members or their organization or their own organization, right? So we have got CSR, corporate social responsibility, right? So it is our moral responsibility, okay, to take care of everything, or we need to be responsible citizen, we need to be responsible student. Now, as far as this point is concerned, I would like to cover one more point that we practice at our campus. That is like social work. Okay, so actually we follow one model. That model is called TRICK, T-R-I-C-K. T stand for teaching, R stand for research, I stand for institutional development, then T stand for community development, and K stand for knowledge sharing. Now, if you look at community development, so there are a number of platforms, there are a number of clubs at our school, okay, so who do a lot of social work, or maybe sometimes they promote something, sometimes they help, okay, aged people, and yes, this is how we do our bit. Now, again, this is curriculum and teaching. Now, without this, we cannot think of promoting well-being or practicing well-being in the classroom. So health and physical education learning area, now this is very critical, okay. Now especially for +2, okay, so once they are done with their 10th grade, okay, so they have got a lot of pressure, and you won't believe, you won't find even a single student who is studying in 11th grade or 12th grade. So you won't find them outside the home or maybe school, right? So those study or say education is equally important, but again their health and physical education is equally important. So unless and until they are physically as well as mentally fit, okay, they cannot perform better personally as well as professionally, in personal life as well as professional life. Then personal and social capability. Now, this will help the students to learn to recognize and regulate emotions. So, like we have got empathy, kindness, isn't it? Then loving kindness. So, it will help them to learn and recognize, to regulate emotions, then develop empathy for others and understand relationships. Okay, so again, these days again what happens is, if you look at the youngsters, okay, so they just stick to Netflix programs or maybe Amazon Prime. Okay, so they spend most of the time on screen, isn't it? And yes, I mean, this is very much necessary to develop empathy for others, as well as they need to understand the relationships with teachers, with parents, with different stakeholders, with colleagues, and all the people in day-to-day life. Then establish and build framework for positive relationship. Again, this is very much important. Okay, so maybe we can think of positive outlook, we can think of positive attitude, right? So this will help them to establish and build a framework for positive relationships. Then work effectively in teams and develop leadership skills. I think this is what we do very rigorously. Now, be it undergraduate program or graduate program. So we always encourage them to work in a team, and we form the teams of 6, 7, 8. Again, it depends on what kind of assignments they are doing. So mostly, if you look at overall evaluation, if you look at overall assessment, so we give 60% of the weightage where they can or they need to work in a team, and this is how they can develop their teamwork skills, they develop effective listening, they develop communication skills, then they become empathetic towards each other, then they respect, okay, they understand the importance of mutual respect, okay, and this is how they develop their leadership skills too. And finally, handle challenging situations constructively. Now it goes without saying, so everything doesn't go goody goody or smoothly all the time. You find some problems, you find some conflicts, so you need to handle them very constructively, isn't it? So they need to be good at critical thinking skills, they need to be good at conflict resolution, they need to be good at problem solving. So these things are very much important. So this is what they need to do. So this is the source that I used, like education.vic.government.au. Yeah. So that's it. So this is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you.